Now the government can see you.
And it froze up.
Now the government can see you.
All right, guys, I want to welcome you into YouTube Model Builders Hangout presentation and the Geno Show. Tonight, our special guest is John Howard with Hyways and Byways, and he's going to be demonstrating his road striping kit. And we have Donnie Dixion with us as well, and he's going to be demonstrating some of his weathering techniques. Before I turn it over to John, I need to remind everybody for any and all information from YouTube Model Builders Live, you need to go to the website, youtubemodelbuilders.com. You can find any information on the live show hosted by Big Bill and Barry. Next show will be coming up on June the 20th. And don't forget to check out the eMag. JD and his guys does a real good job. It's a bi-monthly publication, and you can go to the website and click on the eMag tab and sign up for your free subscription. And also, don't forget the Big Bill contest that's going on. Do the sign-up page there on the website and get entered and get your videos posted. They've got some real nice prizes. But again, like I said, we've got John Howard from Hyways and Byways. I'm going to turn the show over to him. And, John, take it away, buddy.
All right, Geno. How's everybody doing?
Doing
I'd like to thank Geno for giving me the opportunity to be on the show tonight. Little history on my product. I started this out just by accident, actually. I had some old vinyl laying around, and I decided I'd cut some out and see what it looked like using it as a stripe on my road. It worked pretty good. I've got a plotter that cuts this stuff out for me, so I sat down, did some research, government drawings, and drew everything up on the computer, and I cut them out on the plotter. So everything I do is done as close to government specs as can be. The material that I use is a 3 mil thick vinyl. It's a self-adhesive vinyl. It weathers really good. If you look at Geno's layout, you can tell how well it weathers. He uses oil and paint, right? Or, alcohol and paint. It also works great with chalks. You can throw on a dull coat to seal it in if you need to. As far as I know, it just works really good. Geno was nice enough to test it out for me, as well as Ron Perry up there in Canada and Taki Haywood in Mississippi. I've got a little demonstration set up to show you really just how easy it is to apply these graphics. I make them in O scale, HON, and I'm currently working on Z scale. I'm looking for a Z scale modeler to contact me to send, so I can send out a package to them to try it out. I guess that's really
any Z scalers out there that want to give this product a shot, you can either contact me or contact John about that. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you out and get you started.
I'm going to switch this camera around and I'll show you all of the pages that come in an HO scale package. All right. Well, it did turn around, didn't it? This is one page. This will do 2 grade crossings. Now, this comes with a transfer tape on it that makes it much easier to apply than trying to peel it off and stick it on. But again, it's got 4 grade crossings. This is a scale 24-inch wide line that you can use for the upper and lower lines on the crossing. These are 18-inch. I just threw those in case you want to use them for a crosswalk or sidewalk or something like that. Also, we have turn lanes, school zones, and slow crossings. And again, these have a transfer tape on them. Then I've got don't know if you can see this real good with the light. This is the yellow striping kit. Has the dash lines that are scaled 10 feet long, and they are scaled 6 inches wide. And the same thing with the white stripes. Now, what I tell everybody is anything that I don't have on my website, if it's something special you want, just let me know, and I'll see if I can't make it up for you.
I got one for you.
Yes, sir.
What about school crossings?
Well, I've got the school zones on here. Are you talking about just solid white lines for the school crossings, or what?
No, where it says school zone, like right on the road.
Yeah. I've got in the kit. It comes with 2 school zones.
Oh, okay.
Let's turn this back around here. Did it go back around there? Let's see. Yeah, school zone.
Nice. Yep.
Okay.
I like the slow crossing. I like that.
But I've done as well fire lanes, truck loading zones, and then for the Key Haywood, I did. Let me get this thing turned back around here. I'm a dweeb when it comes to this computer stuff. But, the Key Haywood had some oil, and I made the lettering for him to go on his oil tanks. So, I mean, just basically anything that you could ask for as far as a graphic I can do. Now, I only do one color. I don't do multiple color graphics like a decal or anything. And don't get me wrong, these are not water slide decals. These are vinyl self-adhesive stickers.
Mm-hmm.
They're much easier to work with than a water slide decal. They don't leave a residue on your work surface. So that's just a plus in my book. I had a guy up in Canada that used water slide decals, and he was complaining about the mess that they left, and I sent him a package up there, and he was really impressed with them.
Now, if you laid it down in the wrong spot, is it easy to pick right back up and move it?
You know, I haven't had that problem. You can, if you're in the process of laying a stripe down, you can peel it back up and stick it back down. Now, the grade crossing, school zones, and stuff like that, you'd have a really hard time trying to pick that up and do it again. It's important to make sure that you've got it centered and laid out where you want it before you peel the backing off of it.
Yeah, it's almost
And
like
another,
it's almost like stenciling it first. It's almost like stenciling it first.
yeah, I'll give you a little demonstration here. Another thing, you have to make absolutely certain that the surface that you're going to be applying it to is dry and dust-free. Because if it's just a little bit wet or there's some dust on it, it'll get up underneath the vinyl. You may have some problems with it sticking. Now, I've placed this stuff on 600 grit sandpaper and haven't had a bit of problems with it. So it'll stick to just about anything. I had one customer tell me that he used Woodland Scenic Smooth It, and that after he painted it, he had he was trying to put the decal, the graphic down, and it was lifting up while he was trying to transfer it off. But you know, I've had other customers that have applied it to smooth it and not had any problems. I'm just assuming that his material was still wet or the paint was still wet.
I would actually say it was too thick.
I don't know. I've never used that product before. I do my roads onto the pink foam. Also, with this transfer tape, if you want to, you can wet the tape, and it'll make it peel off a little bit easier. So, did we freeze up again?
No?
No, you're good.
We're fine. Go for it. Everybody's just sitting and watching.
I think we're froze up there.
You're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. y'all want to see a little demonstration, I'll apply one of these graphics right quick.
Certainly.
I have one question, John. You're doing mostly in block lettering on those. Can you do any kind of script or anything like that with vinyl?
I can do any script just about that's available on a computer program. So to answer that, I say yes. All right, y'all see this? All right, I've crossing here, and what you do is once you center it where you want it, apply a piece of tape to the top, and this will act as a hinge. Then you'll just lift it up, peel the backing off of it, and then down. I'm just using my fingers.
You're out of review, John.
I like to use an X-Acto blade to kind of burnish it on there a little bit. And then you'll lift the transfer tape up. And see that part?
I would think of using a roller at that point if anybody had the rollers to do that.
Yeah, you can use a roller. And there it is. I mean, it's that simple.
Nice.
You can use a roller. You can use the round end, the positive end on a AA battery. I just use my X-Acto knife. As far as the stripes are concerned, I've got some around here somewhere.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Can you move your webcam down just a little bit so I can see the...
Let me see if I can get it a little bit closer.
Yeah, closer to the decal, because that's...
Yeah, the panel on the bottom is blocking the view.
Well, I've got a little video on my website. Is that any better?
Yes. Yes, to my eyes it is.
Yeah. That works great.
And the road stripes.
I don't think so. I'm not.
Put down straight edge. And just take an X-Acto knife and peel it off. I'll get that out of the way. Just lay it down in place and rub it down, and it's good to go just like that.
Wow.
Now see this one kind of, I can peel it up and replace it. This is pretty boring, I know. But that's as simple as it can be. Also, I have, let me get that back over here, getting disorganized. This doesn't have transfer tape on it, but it'll come with transfer tape on it. You can just center that and lay it down where you want it like that. But now these, I put a instruction sheet in there, and then also there's a diagram showing what the federal government suggests for, well, what the federal government standards are, but because we don't all have a mega layout where everything's exactly to scale, you can put those across the top stripe and the bottom stripe just about anywhere you want, whatever looks good for you. I started out with the top pieces on there, and I decided, well, I'm not going to do that because somebody may want to have a more realistic appearance, and they'll put that up there, because according to government, it's supposed to be 60 feet from the top stripe to the bottom stripe, and 6 feet in scale is going to be pretty long. I mean, 60 feet in scale is going to be pretty long. I mean, if you put a 60-foot boxcar up there, you'd realize, you know, just how much room that takes up. Also, the stripes, they curve pretty easy.
Ooh, could you show a demonstration on that one?
I'm
For
sorry?
sure. Could you show a demonstration on the curve one? Because that would be my thing
Well,
too.
I've got one.
Or if you had one already done, even if it's
I've got one already done here. Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
So it curves, but if you're going to be curving it, you have to walk it around with your finger. I mean, you have to curve it, put it down with your finger, curve it, put it down with your finger to hold it down so it'll keep that shape.
Okay.
Also, I make a 4-inch wide safety striping material for rail cars. It is a non-reflective yellow, and the reason I don't do reflective is that material is 5 mils thick, and it would just stand off the model too much, so it would really stand out. That's the reason I don't like it. And with the safety stripe, once you put it on the car and weather it, well, it's not going to be shiny anyway. I mean, if you look at your rail cars out on the road, you know, they're not shiny. Let me show you here. If I can get this turn around here. Come on, turn around. Can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Raise it up, John. There you go.
All right. That's cut to 36 inches. The smaller ones there, I cut at 18 inches. This is my crappy weathering job on it, but on the other side, you'll see what it looks like. Pre-weathered, I should say.
Now you're measuring this stuff with a scaled ruler thing, right? With the modeled scale rulers.
What I do is I've got a website. Well, I mean, it's basically easy. You take whatever dimension you have, divide it by 87, and that gives you the HO scale dimension. But I use a CAD program.
Oh. Okay.
So that all I have to do is draw it and size it, and it's good to go. I mean, like I say, I do everything as close to scale as possible. So I was a draftsman for many years before I got into oil field and got into police work. So I'm pretty particular on dimensions.
Yeah.
Now, you can, I know we touched on it a little bit before, but you can do custom work as well, as far as any type of graphics or anything that anybody would want. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, if you've got an idea for something that you want, send me a picture. If you got dimensions, that would help a lot. If it's a particular font that you want, let me know. You can just email any of that to me. I don't have any way to put the email address up there, but it's hyways, the letter N, and then byways at yahoo.com. So any special request, I'll see what I can come up with.
Have you experimented any with like signage for buildings or anything?
Aside from the ones I did for Taki, a friend of mine had an old fruit stand model, and he wanted his family those out of vinyl for him, and they came out really nice.
What thickness vinyl you said?
What's the thickness on it?
Yeah.
It's 3 mils thick. So
Okay.
it's not very thick at all.
Yeah. Now can
Basically
you do,
about
Can you do signage like on clear vinyl?
I'm not. I've never seen a clear vinyl. I'd have to check my catalog to see if they even make one. I mean, all the vinyl I have is colored. I've got, you know, reds, whites, blues, black. So I may be misunderstanding what you're asking for.
It's like for masking, where you do a little
Oh, for
air.
mask.
Yeah.
I could do it probably, yeah. Now, this vinyl is not going to contour well onto like the ribs of a freight car or something. So, you know, I mean, it'd be worth a try.
Well, I can vouch for it. It's a very good product.
Well,
I highly recommend it.
who is that?
That's Taki.
Oh, that's my buddy.
Hey, what's going on, John? Geno?
Not much.
Everybody?
Hey, buddy. That's some
Glad
good
to
stuff,
hear
isn't
you.
it? It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
really good product. I know
Yeah.
what experience
Well,
I've had with it. It's done wonders for me. Especially somebody that was out searching, you know, trying to find something to get your roads looking as prototypical as you can. You can't beat the product.
Just to throw this out there, also, if you don't like the width of the stripes, I can do them in 4 inches as well. Now, before I settled on 6 inches, I went out. They thought I was crazy in town because I was getting out with a tape measure and measuring every. And I just took 6 inches as an average. In the big town of Hempstead, all 3,500 people, the stripes in town are 6 inches. The country roads out where I'm at, they're 4 inches. I mean, you go into big city of Houston, some of them are as wide as 12 inches up on the freeway. So 6 inches was just a happy medium for me.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I'm modeling in 1929, and they didn't have road stripes back then, so I'm looking to give you some business doing something else, too.
I understand, yeah. And a lot of people have told me that, well, you know, in the early days, we didn't have stripes on the road. Even like in the 50s, there wasn't a lot of stripes, and they didn't have the grade crossings, the crossbucks on the streets. But you know, if you can't use them, don't buy it. But if there's something I can do for you, I'd be more than happy to try it out and see what we could come up with.
All right, I'll
I
send
mean,
you.
I enjoy doing it.
John, we got a question posted. Does your lettering, such as the railroad crossings, be weathered? For example, with the half of the R missing? I'm assuming he's asking if they come already weathered.
Oh, I understand. To make it look with a degraded look,
Yeah.
I would think that you could probably just go in and cut out a small piece of the R, either before you put it down or after you put it down and try and peel it up. That's something that I've thought about doing, trying to make some that are degraded and wore down. I just really haven't had any special requests for it, so I kind of put it on the back burner. There's one other little thing I'm working on is, I don't know if y'all have seen before, I made some skid marks.
Nice.
Good. I don't know if there's a market for it or not. And it's like I tell everybody else, I'm not in this to make money. I'm here to try and help you make your layout as realistic looking as possible. I take pride. I think it's a really good product.
How long have you been doing it?
I'm here for you. So.
How long have you been doing this?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been doing this?
I started this probably about September of last year, and just playing around with the idea. And then I talked with Geno, Taki, and Ron Perry, and they all agreed to be beta testers for me. So I made up packages and I sent it all out to them. What was that, Geno? Probably October of last year?
Yeah, October, November, somewhere around in there.
Somewhere around in there. And Geno was kind enough to do a review on it. And his word, as far as I'm concerned, is gold. And with him and Taki and Ron giving me their great opinions of it, all I could do was go forward with it.
It's a good product.
I mean,
No doubt about it.
Sounds like you got something that's very reputable there. Might have to try some.
I'm thinking, you know, it's a unique product. There's a lot of people were using pinstriping tape to get for RC airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just wasn't prototypical looking.
I used to use that stuff. I used to have that.
Yeah, I think that this was a good product, and you just can't go wrong with it. And there's enough material stripe-wise that if you mess up, well, you just peel it off and put down a new sheet, a new stripe. There's, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,700 scale feet of material on there. Each one of those stripes is 7 and 5/8 inches long, and I think there's 30 of them on there. So that's a lot of footage. Now on the safety stripe material for the freight cars, you could probably 100 freight cars with that. So it's a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put your link up on the side chat bar thing over here?
I'll get it up for you, John.
Yeah, it's hyways and byways.com is my webpage. It's nothing fancy. My daughter was gracious enough to make it for me, but like I said, I don't know anything about computers really when it comes to that. But it gets the job done. There's pictures of Geno's layout to keys. Who else? I'm having a senior moment. Pictures of freight cars with the safety striping on it that Derek Glass did. He was real happy with it. He did a YouTube review on the safety stripe. There's another fellow, Brian Koch or Brian Otto, I can't remember, that also did a video review of the safety stripe material. Anything else? Yeah, I mean, if there's something that you want, send me a message, email me. I did for Jody Sprinkle just some fire lane stripes and lettering in red for him, just a special request.
I have the link posted, everybody.
I'm working on the handicap parking spaces.
Oh, nice.
I've got the artwork done for them, but they're a bear to cut and weed, and I usually have to cut 12 of them out just to make 3 or 4. But I'm working on another idea where I cut it out blue and put it on a piece of white vinyl, and you can peel that down.
Yeah,
I haven't tried it yet, but the O scale.
Go ahead.
I've sold probably only 2 packages of O scale, I believe, so far, but I've sold.
Excuse me. Shoot.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thanks. Thank you much. Trying to move one. Just trying to mute it before I did all that.
Anybody else got anything for John as far as the road stripes or contact info?
Anything that I've missed?
Doing good, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Donnie, you about ready to get started with your presentation, bud?
About as ready as I'm going to get, like I said before.
All right, before we get, we'll swap it over to Donnie. He's going to demonstrate some weathering techniques for us. Just want to remind everybody, looking for information about YouTube Model Builders, you can go to the website, www.youtubemodelbuilders.com. Find any and all information about the live show, which airs once a month. Next show is going to be on June the 20th. Don't forget about the eMag, bi-monthly publication. It's got a bunch of good articles and topics related to the hobby. JD and his crew does a fantastic job. And also, you can find information on the Big Bill contest. There's an entry form there and an explanation of the contest. But you can sign up and get your videos made and get them posted. And they've got some very good prizes, some cash prizes, and a few other things as well. So if you hadn't looked into it, check into it. Go ahead and get signed up for it. And don't let me forget to mention the presentations. The Tuesday night presentations are topic driven. We've kind of divided it up between me and Troy and Dude and Barry. We're taking one Tuesday night a month and having a specific topic driven hangout. And don't forget about Johnny's hangouts on Thursday night. It's just a general hangout, just general model railroad talk. But you can find out the schedule of events all on the website, www.youtubemodelbuilders.com. All right, Donnie, take it away, buddy.
All right, guys. I hope y'all can hear me well. Am I good?
Yep, you're good.
All right. First, before we actually start the weathering, I want to show you what I use as far as tools and such. But first, we need to do the most important part of the weathering, which is the graphite sticks. This is basically a stick of graphite that you would get out of, just like graphite they have in pencils. When I first started this, I would just take a pencil and I would sand it down, and that worked just as good. It just took longer than to just sand down the stick of graphite.
Donnie?
Yes?
Hold on a second. Geno, can you switch that up?
I'm doing it now, Bill. Just give me just a second.
Oh, okay. Oops. All right. I use this stick of graphite, which is basically just like the pencil, but there's a lot more of it than what's in a pencil, and it's a lot quicker to just use this. The second piece would be I know this one's small, but this is the dark reddish brown compressed charcoal sticks, and it works just the same. You grind it into a powder, and you can brush it onto the locomotives. And that's supposed to simulate rust. A helpful tool that I got were these metal condiment bowls. This one has the rust powder in it, which I might not have enough, and I'll show you how I grind it down. And then this has the graphite. To grind it down, I use an old nail file. As you can see, I have both ends. And as far as this goes, I just take this and the stick and sand it down, and then brush it into the bowl. I use two different types of brushes. I use the wide foam brush, and this works very well for streaks, and then I also use this just for dusting, and I also have the same two brushes for the graphite. And you don't want to use the same ones because the rust is a lot more overpowering than the graphite. And as soon as you use a brush for rust, you'll never be able to use it for graphite again because it won't pick up the graphite, and the rust just kind of overpowers the graphite all the time. So you want to use two separate sets of brushes. If I'm going too fast, just stop me. Just stop and ask me a question if I'm moving too fast. But I'm going to go ahead and start now. This is a Bachmann SD45, and I'm going to start with the rust, and I'm just going to start making some streaks. Now, this foam brush sometimes does not pick up very much at a time, so you have to use it a few times, but you just want to just tap it in the powder, and it'll pick up enough. And then I just run it straight down, just like that, and it will make a nice rust streak. And this actually does it fairly dark most of the time, which is good. Sometimes I've had experience with it not being as dark as I want it to. And then I'll come along with this brush and brush it where I want it to go. Which normally I want to hit the walkways a little bit more heavy because water collects on them. And then you want to make sure you do the fuel tank extra heavy because the fuel tank is a high contact area where you're grabbing it with your hands. And after you clear coat it, you want to make sure that you do it a few times. And you just want to make sure you have enough on there so that you can touch it and hold it and it not all come off. Because as soon as you touch it, it will start to come off.
Donnie, do you have any problem with the clear coat taking any of it off as well?
Actually, when it first starts, when you first spray the clear coat on, it does not look right. As soon as you spray it on, it looks like it just cleaned the model. Which I thought that was weird, and that just scared me at first. I was like, but as soon as the clear coat dried, that was it, and it looked just like it was before, except duller, because I used the Tester's Dull Coat, which works the best, especially since some models are really glossy brand new, especially Broadway Limited. I'm just going to go a few more times and do a few more rust streaks on this side. As you can see, I pulled the handrails off of this side. The other side still has its handrails, and I'm not sure if I'll do the other side right now. But
Donnie, do you do anything to the shell prior to putting the powders on there?
no, there's nothing you really need to do. They stick very well by themselves most of the time. I mean, I've had a few of them that just don't want to stick. And normally if one doesn't want to stick, it's always normally the rust that won't stick before the graphite. Now I actually decided that I was going to go heavier with this. I mean, so you know, you don't have to go as heavy as I'm going right now. Now, one thing I have experienced is at the trucks. The trucks you do want to go heavy on because I've had experience where the trucks just don't get as much. For some reason, the trucks will not pick up as much, and after it's clear coated, the trucks will not have as much on them as the rest of the model. I don't know exactly why that is sometimes, but sometimes it just ends up that way. I'm trying to make sure that you can see it. I know my light is not very helpful. But like I said, I mean, you could see how glossy the model was, and after you put the clear coat on, that will fix that. I mean, as you can see, I'm actually kind of going heavier on it, or trying to at least. That way it can be mostly covered. I'm going to go ahead and do the graphite now.
That's just regular graphite?
Yes, just like in a pencil. I mean, before I went to Hobby Lobby and found these graphite sticks, I used a pencil.
Have you tried using just regular powdered graphite that you get for locks?
No, I haven't, but I'm sure that would work, and I'm sure that would save a lot of time.
Yeah, it's already powdered. I think it comes in like a little blow tube that you blow into your lock cylinders.
And that might work. Like I said, I've never tried it, but as long as it's powdered graphite like this, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work.
That graphite for locks has a slight oil base to it.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. That might be copacetic for the model.
Now, as you can see, the graphite is supposed to simulate diesel exhaust or steam exhaust, because most of it's always black.
I see what you're saying.
But the black will not show up as well on the darker colors, and I will show you that on the roof, where the graphite does not show up as well. One thing you want to watch out for is locomotives that have see-through details, such as fans and exhaust vents. You do not want to get powder in there, because of course it will come into the locomotive. And if you do, not a big deal. Just make sure you open up the locomotive and blow anything out. But you do want to go around the exhaust pipe fairly heavily. I'll show you the top in a second. And you actually want to do the cab and the roof a lot more than the sides. But you want to make sure that you get everything around the locomotive, because when the locomotives are in consist, they get smoke and soot all over them. So you just want to make sure, and you don't actually have to take the handrails off. It just makes things a lot easier. But I've done a lot of locomotives without taking the handrails off. Now, at first it seemed like I had a lot of rust on there, and you can see that the graphite's actually taken some off. I actually want to add a little bit more back to that streak there, because I actually liked how that looked at the beginning. But as you can see, that's about what it looks like. My camera's not picking it up as well as I think it should. I think it looks better in person. But you can see this truck versus that truck. This one looks a lot better than the other one. No, I actually haven't hit the graphite yet. But normally the graphite doesn't pick up very well on the trucks. It pulls off some of the shine, but it doesn't hit as well as the rust does. Now this does get very messy. I mean, not all of the powders will stick to the graphite, or will not stick to the locomotive. You'll have a bunch of powder that doesn't stick. I mean, you can see my mat is starting to get rust on it. But I'm going to go ahead and stick the handrails back on. You don't want to forget to do the grab iron, or not the grab irons. You don't want to forget to do the handrails, because you'll see why when I get them on, because now we have these bright yellow handrails on a very dirty locomotive.
Hey Donnie, do you look for the phototypes at the actual pictures of the SD45?
I have. I mean, I don't normally do it particularly, but there are some locomotives I have made sure and, gotten perfect. But all diesels will kind of do the exact same thing because of how they're used, and steam engines will be different than diesels, but there's really not that much of a difference between the two. They all will weather about the same. And you want to just take a light brush and just lightly do the handrails like I'm doing here.
What are you doing with the handrails now, the rust or the other one?
I'm doing the rust on the handrails right now. Because handrails normally rust. They normally don't pick up as much soot because of their size. And when you're doing your handrails, it sometimes might be easier to flip it on its side. And that way, your excess will collect on the locomotive, then you can use that again. Or you can blow it off if you don't want it. And if you get a powder where you do not want it, just blow it off. And if you already have them brushed down, like right now, I will show you on the side how there is just powder sitting there on the side. If you don't want that there, you can just blow it off. But if you do want it there, then you can just leave it. But after it's actually mounted down on the locomotive, after you've brushed it on there, if you don't like it or do not want it, the best thing to do is to just take your finger, lick your finger, and brush it off.
That's all dry brushing, right, that you're doing?
Yes, no liquid involved. One second, guys, I got to go real quick.
Another thing needs to invest in a wash rack.
For 16 years old, he's very talented.
He does a good job. He does a real good job.
Alright, guys, sorry about that. I had to... There were people knocking on my door.
And you didn't let them in. Oh, very nice. Very nice.
The thing I don't like about handrails is they normally don't like to go back in after you pull them out.
That's why I just glue mine and set them in.
And they're very delicate.
Yeah, I don't like the plastics, but that's the thing.
The thing about handrails, my fingers are too big to manipulate them well.
But that's about it. I mean, this is one side, and the other side will do exactly the same. And then I have another locomotive just to show you, again, how to do it. But how do y'all think that looks?
Excellent.
Looks good, but your camera done went blurry on you a little bit for that top.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
There it goes.
Really good.
But it looks great. Whoa, looks real nice.
Looks really good. Really good.
Good demonstration.
So I'm going to go ahead. I want to show you another trick before we move on.
You wanted to show us the top of that, too.
Yes, I do. I will get to that in a second. My other trick here is the silver Sharpie. As you can see, most locomotives do not have silver detail parts, and as like right here, my MU cable box hose opening is silver, and that's realistic. And also the ends of your MU cables will be silver, and it's really easy to do this with a silver Sharpie. Some model companies don't go into and actually do that like they're supposed to and make them the right color, which I don't like that, but the silver Sharpie will make them the right color very easily. And I'm gonna do mostly rust on the pilot. More because mostly there's more rust than exhaust. Normally the exhaust does not make it down that far, so I'm just gonna do a lot more rust. And you want to make sure you get your coupler really well. I've never had the clear coat affect the coupler as far as its operation, so it will. I've only had the couplers look good like that one does now. I think that one actually looks really good. So you want to make sure that you get that really well. So I'm just going to go around and hit the walkways again. I'm starting to run out of red.
Didn't you say in the beginning you grind your own rust, Donnie?
Yes.
Are you using just plain chalk for that, or?
It is compressed charcoal that's been colored red. So it's basically like a charcoal briquette, but in the form of a stick. This one actually, I have trouble with them breaking in half all the time, but this is what it's like, and it works just like the graphite stick. I actually need to make some more.
Where do you get that at?
I got this at Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby.
I'm not sure of the brand name. I don't have the packaging with me, but I know it was over by the chalks and the graphite sticks and stuff.
I would say it's in the art area there, like the art chalks and all that.
Yes, that's where it's at.
Sticks.
Now, the roof you want to hit with a good bit of rust, because when it rains on it, of course, the roof is going to be the main part that gets hit by the rain. And then you want to get the roof rusty and then bring the rust down in streaks like I did on the other side. I just want to make sure that y'all can see. Can y'all see that good?
The roof
Need
looks
to tilt
great.
that up a little bit.
I like that.
Tilt it just a little bit more. There you go.
But you just want to slowly go about it, and I will need to move to graphite because the roof is also the hotspot for the exhaust. So you want to make sure you get that fairly evenly. And it kind of looks like the yellow is getting most of the coloring because the black doesn't pick up very well on the blue. And I know in some spots I'm actually kind of going a little bit heavy, but that's what I wanted to do on this model. I intended to go heavy. You don't have to go as heavy as I'm going right now. But the black you actually want to sweep backwards like I'm doing here, or forwards. You don't want it to go straight down like rust, because rust is because of water, and the water is going to run straight down the locomotive, whereas the exhaust is because they're moving, and the exhaust blows off the other locomotives onto this one. So you want it to actually have a moving look to it. You want it to look like it was brushed on there. You don't want it to look like it's going straight. And before I learned how to do the rust, I would actually just end up leaving it just like this, where it's just the graphite. But now I've actually learned how to use the rust and what to do with it, so we can move on to it. And I'm going to use the foam brush again and just bring a streak straight down like that. Do y'all have any questions? Y'all been kind of quiet. I was expecting a little bit more questions. Well, normally I don't explain things well enough.
You're doing great. That's what I
Watching
like about that. You're
watching
watching
you
your
work, man.
expertise. Well, very good.
Do you apply a clear coat or dull coat after you put the graphite on?
Yes, I use this, the Tester's dull coat that I pick up from my hobby store, but I know Hobby Lobby also carries it.
Okay.
I'm trying to get that in so you can see, but it's just the. I've never seen a bigger can than this, but I would definitely buy a bigger can if I saw it.
Well, it almost seems like my same weathering technique.
Well, what is your weathering technique?
What you're doing right now.
Oh, okay.
So you have nothing else to add to it for him, huh?
The battle of the Donnies and the Chrisers.
Oh.
Well, I actually learned this from Dave.
I can weather the same engine in 5 minutes.
Oh, jeez. Oh, goodness. Boy.
So after we do the back normally doesn't get heavily weathered. The back normally gets more rust than anything else.
It's because it gets neglected.
Yes. The black will get some of the exhaust
It gets
because
neglected.
because when they're leading them backwards, forward.
Now you know if you're a southern modeler, that's the front, Donnie.
Yes, I know. For a southern modeler, that would be the front. So for a southern modeler, you might want to change this around a little bit. But as Santa Fe standards, that's about what you want. So at this point, I would be taking it outside to clear coat it. So I'm going to try not to touch it very much and give you kind of a view of it. But I'm actually really happy with it. Let me set it on the tracks and we'll work on this one here.
Very good, very good.
I wish I had a very nicely weathered layout to show you this on. So, but you know, on a good layout, this locomotive will look really good, and I'm really happy with myself. So I'm really happy with it. It turned out really good, and I have to say that this is probably one of my best ones.
Bravo, bravo. I was just gonna say that, Mr. Raggy. Yeah,
So
It looks excellent.
yeah, I really
good
like
job.
that.
That's a good job on that one.
Next week we'll complain, but right now you're done good.
Oh, you know what? Looking at it again, I completely forgot to do the trucks on this side. So,
Hmm.
let me go ahead and do that.
Nice.
I don't know if this is as good as Geno's weathering, but I certainly like it.
It looks
it
good,
works.
man. It looks good.
Mark, we gotta take a trip to Hobby Lobby someday. It's in Rhode Island. Oh boy, nice.
Get the address, we'll go.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
that's the finished product. And basically, when you go for the clear coat, you just want to spray back and forth lightly, and just make sure you cover the entire model. But like I said, you
Do you
want to
cover
get
your
the
windows
fuel
when you
tank
do your
heavy.
clear cut?
I was just gonna say, do you cover the wheels? Because that was my next.
Actually, I've never taken them off. I've never had any reason to cover them. It normally doesn't penetrate that well anyway. But I normally spray at an angle like this. As long as you spray at an angle coming down at the model, you shouldn't hit the wheels at all. But the fuel tank I do separately. I pull it off completely and do it by itself.
Hey,
Except on after and ready to roll where you can't.
Donnie, how far do you spray it from?
Normally about 2.5 feet.
Wow.
I've noticed that when you spray close, you get too much, and it gets kind of thick, and it takes really long to dry.
Yeah, I haven't used Elf Coat. I use the Krylon matte finish, and I do
That
it
will
from
work.
4 to 5 feet.
That will look as good too.
Yeah, I had good results with it. But I do it
The
from
only
4
thing
to 5 feet.
The only thing I don't like about matte is the fact that it is, it's just not as dark, and it doesn't, because after the dull coat goes on there, it'll actually bring the locomotive down, so any of this gloss left over that you might can see will be completely gone.
Looks good.
Very nice.
Do you do anything on the rear of the engine for kick up or anything like that?
Not much. I can turn it around so you can see. I did do the rear pilot just like the front one, but other than that, not much. I just hit it with the graphite weathering a little bit. I see the camera's not picking it up very well, but I did do the graphite a little bit on the back.
What do you do for fuel spills on the fuel tank?
Mostly just graphite. I know I see I didn't do it on this one, but the graphite will actually work fairly well if I were to put it in like that. And it brings a really dark color to it. But that's about as close as I've gotten. I haven't actually done anything else to anything other than that. So since I need to weather this one as well, I'm going to start on this. So, I mean, as long as you want to see it, I know Geno said that this show was supposed to be fairly long. How much time do we got left, Geno?
Go ahead. You got about 30, 45 minutes.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, this locomotive shouldn't take that long, but I'll try to slow this one down a little bit. And actually I'm going to go in depth and show you what happens and why stuff should go where. So first, graphite. These are the dynamic brakes here on this B unit. And the dynamic brakes release a lot of dirt when they're turned on. So you want to pull some dirt from under them and bring them down and bring it down. Now this locomotive had a BNSF patch right there, but now that's almost completely gone just with the graphite, and we haven't even put any rust on it yet.
All right, Donnie, got a question for you that's been posted. Since the trucks are a different type of plastic, that's why the powders don't stick. Have you tried sandblasting?
No, I haven't. I haven't tried anything other than what I've just showed you. But yes, that makes sense why. And most of the time, if you just hit them hard enough and just keep going over them, eventually it mostly sticks. And so, guys, if I don't I haven't been looking at the computer. So if you have a question, just ask it.
Yeah, but you can't get the ones that ask if they type it. That's what the ones he's telling you about.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, if you see a question that's been typed, tell me because I don't see it.
We got you covered. You're doing good. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Don't you let the small stuff sweat you. We got your back, way back.
So, and then you want to make sure you get into the grills too. You want to get a little bit on your brush and actually brush it into the grills, such as the radiator grills and the dynamic fans.
So the grills on the side won't get the motors.
It depends on the model. There are some that are opened up and there's some that aren't. Most brass are opened up, and then there's Intermountain, which are. Ather and Genesis is. Most of the higher end models are, but as long as you're careful, you can mostly get it and not have too much inside. But like I said, there's not a very big problem. You just want to open up your model and blow it out and make sure that it's not going to cause a problem. But most of the graphite is actually okay inside the model. If anything, it will actually lubricate it. But I would still open it up and try to blow any excess out.
Alright, what about doing this without putting it on the whole body, just taking the cover off and doing it that way? Is that a little more difficult, or is it a better way to do it?
It makes no difference at all. I mean, the only thing it changes is how much it weighs when you pick it up.
Really?
Yeah, if I take this off the body, then I'm going to have to weather it exactly the same. It doesn't change anything.
No, I don't mean as far as changing anything, but I mean as far as just weathering it without the trucks and stuff or anything, or without the body, just to make it, like putting it on like a little rotisserie turntable if you really felt like it to be.
Oh, yeah, it would work. I mean, you just would have to do the other stuff separately if you don't have it there. Alright, so like I said, you want to get the exhaust really heavily because that's where you get most exhaust from. That's where most of the soot's going to come from. And since these fans are not see-through, I'm going to go ahead and actually drive some into them. Because if they're not see-through, I would strongly suggest just trying to get the dirt into them and actually pushing the dirt into the grills. I think I'm going to go ahead and start the rust on this after I get that finished.
Is that a custom build that you did, Donnie?
Actually, I did not build it. I bought it from John Alexander, which is in the hangout down there. No, I wish I could build stuff like this. But when you're trying to do this with the handrails on, this brush will only get you so far. Then you have to bring this other brush in and finish it.
Now, what type of brush are you using? A stiff one or a?
This is a
really
soft tip
soft
brush. This is a very soft tip brush, and you can see that it's fanned out, but it's not. I did not purposely buy it fanned out. It was actually a nice tight brush when I bought it. The rust, for some reason, makes the brush fan out.
Okay. I know you're not really looking at the computer screen, but I know everybody else can see it. I have like one of those fan brushes like the ones you would use for just getting the dust out of keyboards?
Yes.
What about using something like that to just like weather spread the stuff across the sides?
I've never tried it. I've never tried it, and I'm not exactly familiar with the brush itself.
It's very soft here.
But you do want soft. The softer, the better. Most of the time.
So this out there, I may be
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
make a fool of myself, but I use my wife's makeup powder brush.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what this basically is.
Oh, I'm sure that probably works really good.
This is the same idea, but this is what they usually use to get in between the keys or stuff like that. Yeah. Brush the dust just off the tops.
So for this one, I kind of I feel like I hit this one pretty hard along the sides. I want to go ahead and do some streaks, though, because I have not done that yet.
It's a hard-working engine, and it's a B unit.
Well, the B units normally don't get as washed near as much as the A units do anyways. So.
What about using a brush there? Would that work?
What was that?
Mike was using, I think, would use a lot of static, right, and the powder would stick to it.
Can you say that one more time? I didn't hear the beginning.
That's possible.
The brush that Mike was showing, I think, would have a lot of static on it, wouldn't it? And would not release the powder. Powder would stick to that brush, rather.
Maybe. I'm not exactly sure about the physics of how the brushes actually work and if there would be static in it or not. But
Yeah.
that sounds like a possibility.
Yeah, because I have the brush like he's showing, and that's very staticky. That's how it attracts dust.
Because it's static dust, yeah, because it takes the dust out. So
yeah, I would think that would make a good powdering brush.
You could be right, but that's why I say just on spreading the rust around, though, that's what I was thinking. You know, just I know it's static, but eventually some of that's going to sit to the side if you put a lot. Just dump it in the powder, and then I just figured. Not to save time or anything, but just to make it really look rather messy. Like it's really been through the mill. I'll have to try it sometime.
In a second, I will show the roof.
The roof.
I mostly do the long hoods first, just to get a full coverage and make sure that most of my material goes into that, because that's what most people look for in the model. I mean, and there's going to be people that like the weathering, and there's going to be people that don't. Simply because there's people that like locomotives to be realistic, and then there's people that like them just because they're what they are.
Just like Mark.
I'll start mine off new for a year, and then I don't care if it gets rusty, dirty, and all that. See?
And that's about how I am, you know. But there's some models, like most of my brand new things that I bought brand new from the hobby store, I normally don't weather those, or I don't weather the real expensive ones, or I send them to a professional like Geno.
I'm far from professional, I tell you.
Yeah, he's doing very well for himself over here.
It looks good. It looks really good.
It's making me want to get into the business. And I haven't weathered any of mine yet.
Gotta start it fresh so you can get really good at it.
Well, of course. Gotta learn how to get messy, down and dirty. Make it locomotive look good.
What about
Like I
using
said,
a P-tip, honey?
You want to take the graphite back pretty far. I'm gonna actually bring out this. And you want to go both directions with the graphite because the real locomotives may run backwards one day and forwards the next day. So you want to make sure you get both directions and just get a full coverage of the model. Make sure that you don't leave any spots out or any clean spots, because it doesn't look right when you have a fully weathered model and then it's got a random clean spot.
That might have been a day that the weather didn't hit right.
I mean, it's actually kind of hard to get the ends of the locomotive being the really tight spots and how small everything is there. But you just got to kind of focus and be patient with it. And it ends up looking really good afterwards. And I mean, my very first thing that I weathered, first I thought it looked terrible. But as I looked at it and as I worked with it a little bit more and a little bit more, I started liking it more and more, and then it eventually started looking good. I think my problem is I get something to look good, and then I change it, and then I don't like it anymore. I think that's my biggest problem.
Gotta let well enough be alone when you get it done.
Yeah, really.
Hey, Donnie, when you're using graphite, does it get a shine to it at all, or is it just totally dull?
Sometimes it does, but that's why I use the dull coat, because that basically takes all the shine out of it.
Because I'm always, looking for ways, especially for steam engines, to give it that, that dull black look to it.
Well, the graphite will do that.
Been heated, and, when it cools down, once the paint's all gone off of it, it's just that ashy black look to it.
Well, the graphite can do that, but you have to clear coat it afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that you clear coat anything you powder.
Yes. That is probably for sure the #1 rule. If you're using powder, you have to clear coat it, or next time you touch it, it will not be there anymore. Something I learned in elementary school about graphite and pencils is that if you take your finger and rub on it, you can move it around and you can change it and make it how you want it. That's a good thing, and that's a bad thing. You can smear the graphite very easily with your finger. And I mean, I remember doing this on paper, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let me move some things out of the way real quick. Now I want to show you what I'm talking about when I mean smearing stuff. And as you can see, your desk is going to get it. I mean, that's what color the desk should be, and where I weather stuff, that's what color it is. So, I mean, be prepared to have your desk ruined after doing this. But I'm going to take this, well, maybe not that pencil. I'm going to take my stick of lead here and show you. If you draw on it with some lines like this, then you take your finger and you start rubbing it. Okay, try not to rip the paper when you do it. If you start rubbing it, you can see how the graphite starts to slide down the paper. And you can sit here and you can rub it, and you can bring it all over the place, basically. I mean, it's going to turn your finger black, but you can take the graphite a good bit away from the original line that you're doing. So I just wanted to make sure that y'all see that and see what I mean. But after this locomotive, I'm just about finished, unless you want me to pull out a freight car.
Yeah, I think most of us have done that lead pencil trick when we were kids. Most of us older guys, because we used to use them pencils more than computers before, so we know what that stuff smears like.
Yeah, and artists do that all the time to solve.
Oil based to the fingers, and artists. Yes, artists would do it purposely. So that's a good notion, though. Good note, though.
Donnie, does that work just as good on a light-colored locomotive as it does with the dark-colored ones? Have you tried it on any light-colored locomotive?
Particularly, I mean, my fleet does not consist of anything light-colored. I mean, the only light-colored things I have are the silver war bonnet locomotives, and I've only weathered one of those.
Oh, I wouldn't mess that up.
And I really did have a problem weathering it, but after it got finished, I think it actually turned out really good. I don't know. Let me see if I can dig up a picture of it. I might can find a picture of it somewhere.
Now on your walkways too, did you use the rust on your walkways, or is that the graphite?
No, I used. Well, actually, when you're doing it, you end up with both, but the rust is always the more prominent of the two.
I would say the rust would be better because it's where it rains on. That rains on the most if it's
Exactly, and the rust ends up
real
being
world.
the more prominent, anyways.
Yeah.
You don't have that warp on it, Donnie?
What's that?
That one you showed us a couple weeks ago, the warp on it one, you don't have that one there?
I'm trying to find a picture of it. No, it's not sitting here with me.
You know how to use it?
It went back to Grandpa's house.
I was just going to say, probably went to his grandfather's house, yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can get a picture on Facebook of it that I might have posted.
Oh.
But it's a GP60M that I custom weathered myself. I know where I can go.
Nothing.
But it's a really good looking locomotive, even though it's a weathered Superfleet locomotive. But I use mostly graphite on it, and it ended up being really good, and it's a really good example of light colored. But the only other light colored locomotive I have are my other war bonnets and my one SD40-2, the Burlington Northern Bicentennial.
Johnny, I got a question for you. Do you
Yes.
do any specific rust spots or streaks of peeling paint or anything like that? And if so, how do you go about what technique do you use?
Well, I haven't actually gotten into that yet, but I think Geno can actually add to that, you know, because I've seen Geno do it before.
As far as what was the question again? I'm sorry, JD.
You see a lot of people do the very minutia little rust spots and little streaks coming off the rust, and either downward or sideways scratches, and the rust sort of growing and peeling. I'm curious, what technique does Donnie use for that? I've seen several techniques out there.
Yeah, I use a toothpick, and I'll make little spots on the model, and give it just a little bit to dry, not much, and then come back with a brush and just streak downward with it before it dries, actually, all the way.
All right,
and
well,
you can dab some powder on it too as well, and it'll give it a little bit of texture.
Yeah.
That's what I do when I do my weathering.
Here's a locomotive here that I have that is a lighter colored locomotive that I've weathered. This was actually the very first locomotive I tried weathering. And Geno, I think you're pretty familiar with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think you've seen this one before.
Yeah.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's sitting on your shelf somewhere.
It's here. Yeah. Waiting work.
Let me turn I gotta figure out how to turn my camera back on. There we go. But, so I mean, that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say unless you want me to do a freight car.
That's a good job. You did a good job, Donnie. I appreciate it, buddy.
Very good.
Very good job.
Good job, Donnie. Donnie, if you have a camera, you should take these outside in the sunlight, put them out there, and take some pictures.
I think I will. I mean, I don't exactly. I mean, I can set them on the table outside, but I don't have a setup like Geno has. But I will have.
Track down and put them on the easy track.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Gives you a little bit of height.
But I'll have clear coat on them tomorrow. If I could spray the clear coat here in the house, I would definitely show you how to do it. But I can't. I can't spray any clear coat here in the house, and it's pitch black outside. So, you know, I can take the camera out there, but you can't see anything.
Good job, Donnie. You did a real good job, Donnie. I appreciate it.
Thanks you. Well, thanks for letting me on.
Fantastic job.
That's great.
any follow-up questions for John as far as the road striping kit while we're still here?
How much was the kits?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
Well, they beat you to it. I don't want
I
to
didn't hear you. What was the question?
How much are the kits for different things, or different? What's the kit prices per the kits? Striping kits.
The kit that I sell is $18 with free shipping.
What comes with it?
Yes, what is included?
The 4 sheets that I showed you, the 2 grade crossings, the turn lanes, school zones, the
nice.
white stripes and the yellow stripes.
Okay.
And that's, like I said, $18.
And you accept PayPal, MasterCard, everything, all for that, all payments.
All I take right now is PayPal on my website.
Okay. Nice.
You know, if you wanted to order, if you don't do PayPal, I take money orders. Just send me a private message of what you want, and I can do it that way. But I prefer to do everything off the website.
PayPal, yeah. Nice. I'll have to hook it up. Two good demonstrations today.
Well, all right, guys. I'll take another opportunity to remind everybody about YouTube Model Builders and how you can find out your information. You go to the website, www.youtubemodelbuilders.com. Any and all information. That's your one-stop all-you-can-eat buffet when it comes to information about YouTube Model Builders. Find out information about the live show. The next show is June the 20th with Big Bill and Barry. I think that's going to be a pretty good show. They're doing a show on landscaping and terrain and weathering. I know Bill's going to be on there. Miles Hale is slated to be there as well, so that should be a good show. Hangout presentations. The Tuesday night presentations are topic driven. Myself, Dude, Troy, and Barry are taking the Tuesday night hangouts to rotating them out. Johnny, his hangouts are on Thursday. It's a general hangout, just general topic model railroading. Most of the guys are working on their layouts during that hangout as well. So y'all be sure to check Johnny's hangouts out on Thursday nights. And the EMAG, JD and his crew does a wonderful job, bi-monthly publication. Always a pleasure to get. You can sign up for your free subscription on the website. And also, don't forget about the Big Bill contest that's going on. The entry form's on there. Get your videos submitted and get your chances for a couple of really nice prizes. I know they got some cash prizes and some other things that are going to be giveaways to the winners. So be sure to check that out as well. Anything else for the guys tonight, y'all?
Thanks for having me on, Geno. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you taking time to come on with us, John. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, Donnie.
Thank
I
you,
was going
John.
to say the same. Thanks for having me out here, Geno.
Thank you, John.
It's a pleasure talking to all of you and getting to show off my techniques. So
We appreciate it, Donnie. Thank you. You did a fantastic job, bud. All right. Anything else? Anything else, guys?
It's bedtime.
Well, all right, we'll close this one out. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for all the questions. And like I said, be sure to check out Johnny's Hangout coming up Thursday night. And Troy will be on next Tuesday. It'll be his show, so be sure to check in on Troy and watch his show. And I'll see you the first Tuesday of next month. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching.
Right.
thanks, guys, for coming.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.